Attention, bobsled riders! You will soon be embarking on a thrilling podcast down the icy slopes of the Matterhorn, so please remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the bobsled at all times. Auf Wiedersehen!
Hello, yodelers! We are the Matterhorn Yodelers. I am your host today, Peter, with my co-host,
Japheth.
and
Father Yodeler.
yes, he's back again for another episode because
Jackie's winning big.
yeah, she's either making the Yeti's making convincing arguments to make her stay on that poker game, or she's doing really well over there.
She's doing really bad, and she's gotta like do a side hustle. To
yeah, she's like, I sold my van. No, I sold my mortgage. Yeah, so today we're gonna put on our Imagineer hats, and we're going to.
This'll be fun.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Forgot about the hats.
Yes.
We gotta have a hard hat on this line.
Why is mine made out of tinfoil?
For good reason. But yeah, we're gonna have some fun, and we're going to reimagine Disneyland's version of Fantasyland. We've done several different versions of this. We've done a Tomorrowland episode. We've added some countries to Epcot. We've done several things. We did Animal Kingdom. We did Dino Land.
Yeah, we did Dino Land.
We did Dino Land in one episode. So we're gonna handle the Disneyland update to Fantasyland because that's been.
It's the untouchable, really.
Well, I mean, it's been rumored to be getting an update here for the last 5 years.
When was the last time they got up to 85?
Well, they did Snow White. They just did Snow White in the last year.
They did Snow White. They updated Peter Pan and Alice in Wonderland.
These are minor updates.
Yeah, this isn't
but
like major.
I mean, Snow White was pretty
That was a pretty extensive update.
extensive. You lost a lot of things. No more scary trees there.
Yes, no more scary
I miss
trees.
the scary trees.
You can get that kind of feel when you do the Haunted Mansion. You fall backwards. Those trees are pretty scary.
Yes.
That's true. That's true.
So we're going to go through one by one and talk about what we're going to do to create our own version of the new Fantasyland. Some of us are going to be saving some things. Some of us are going to be demolishing all of it. So it'll be fun to see what each one of us have come up with. And, when we're done, you can let us know what you think about our ideas and how horrible they are and how they'll never happen because Bob Chapek is in charge. And
Where's the money?
merchandise value here.
Bob Chapek's putting a ticket booth in front of Fantasyland.
Yeah,
right?
he's like, hey, $10 to go walk through the front of the castle. You don't want to be those slumps walking around. Fast pass.
Fast pass. It's a toll booth. He's putting a toll booth on the bridge. Is that what it is?
Yes,
Oh,
that's what's
horrible.
happening. Yep. All right, so Japheth, why don't you start us off on your Fantasyland redo here? What is it? Well, let's start with what you're keeping.
I'm gonna keep Peter Pan.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep Pinocchio.
Okay.
I know. I just didn't know what to do with it, but just keep it there. I'm gonna keep Alice in Wonderland and the Teacups. Small World staying. Matterhorn's gonna stay. Dumbo stays, and the Carousel stays.
So a lot of it's staying.
A lot of it's staying. I only have like 4 changes.
Okay.
4 changes.
So it's a more realistic change update.
I didn't want to go
it's not-
too ridiculous, but just throw out some ideas where, like, if one sticks, that's great. Okay, so let's start off with, I am a big fan of the Snow White train at the Fantasyland and Disney World.
It's a good.
And
It's a
I
good
think
attraction.
I brought this up before. Was this in the, like...
This is in the unaired episode.
This is the unaired episode where
There are unaired episodes.
There is an unaired episode.
Oh,
it was
man.
it was
our first one.
it was our-
of
it was-
practice.
it was a
like, how do we
practice run.
interact with each other? And
So,
Yeah,
there ought to be a special way to get the unaired episode, something that we have to earn as listeners.
just
We
keep
should- we
listening.
should come up
Right.
with-
The other day when we don't have a podcast,
Right.
and it's our ace in the hole. Like,
Right.
here we go. It's gonna be a little rough.
I know this is not gonna sound like at all like what we've been sounding like. I haven't listened to that in a long time. I'm curious to hear how that sounds.
So in that one, I incorporated the Snow White. We had to, what was it, change
The
a mountain?
Matterhorn.
What would you change it? Mine was the Matterhorn. Or were we changing the Matterhorn?
I think we were all.
You changed Space
I
Mountain.
changed Space Mountain. That's right, and I think Jackie did Splash.
Splash. And I did the Matterhorn.
Yeah.
And I incorporated the Matterhorn with the Snow White train. We'll not be doing that.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going
No,
to. I was like,
all
oh,
like, I don't want to steal a thunder in case there is like we want to show that episode again. Like
Right,
ever.
right. I was like, oh, JF's got that one.
Yeah. So no, the Snow White train. If you've been to Disneyland or Disney World, it is a fun attraction. It's a roller coaster in Fantasyland. So I'm going to be taking out the Casey Jr. train ride. So again, I don't want two trains in there. Seems a little redundant, right? So take out the Casey train. Take out half of the Storybook Canal.
Okay.
Take out half, and then take out the theater. So it'll be kind of in a diagonal, kind of get the space that it needs.
Right. There's a lot of if you take the theater out, that's a large
That is a
partial.
large area. Yeah.
And
land.
I don't know, like, would you guys keep the theater? What is the benefit of keeping the theater? Because I was just struggling, like, you can only do so many cheerleader shows, or like.
I'll explain it in my answer in my version.
All right.
Oh,
I'm excited. Yeah, this
Oh.
is good.
So yeah, I don't see. It's a lot of real estate, and I'm like, I want to incorporate this train ride. If you haven't seen it, it's fun. My wife loves this ride. Her hand is always up in the air and blocking my face in the pictures, and it's too much. It's the right roller coaster for Fantasyland. It doesn't, and it's like Matterhorn's like the roller coaster to ease someone into roller coasters.
Oh, not my son.
No.
Oh my gosh! Like we last put he rode the Matterhorn for the first time our last trip, and like he literally was like crawling out of the roller coaster, like like he was like traumatized by all the other ones. He was like fine, but like that one, he's all like never again.
Maybe it's just just how it's built and like
Maybe.
the banks and the.
But we're
shifting.
gonna make him go on our next trip.
So I really want that ride at Disneyland because I just know geographically it's more likely to ride that there at Disneyland than it is at Disney World. All right, so the next one I would incorporate, since you have Snow White's train ride, I think a ride there. It's just a little redundant. You got too many other things. So I want to
Same Disney World logic.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Disney World had their Small World dark ride.
Take it
I
out.
mean, small Snow White dark ride, and then when they built the roller coaster, they closed that one out.
Yeah, we don't need to double dip into one
Right.
movie. So I'm going to incorporate the Sword and the Stone ride. And so kind of like you go on the same journey with like Mort and Merlin in the different worlds and explore, and you just do the dark ride experience.
I like
there.
that. Sure.
It's just Sword and Stone has that fantasy magic. You have a sword stone there. Why not incorporate
It fits
it
right
there?
in there. Sure.
I
Yeah.
think it would just be a fun ride, and you, like you say, you go through different experiences that I think would be appealing to kids. And I'm all about like spreading the word on Sword in the Stone. It is part of that post-Walt period that kind of is forgotten when it comes to being in the park.
Oh, but the artistry in that movie is really good. I like the artistry of the '60s right there. It's really, really good.
I think it's I think it would just it's needed in the park. Sword in the Stone. That's just me. But I'm one that wants the parade of like March of the Archers from Robin Hood, in the park. I just want a parade, them marching through Fantasyland. But I'll never get that because Robin Hood is not a popular film.
I think, aren't they doing a live action remake of
Are they
that
getting,
version?
Are they
believe
getting the
so.
3D version? What was it from the Rescue Rangers, where they're like the 3D
Right. They got their CGI updates.
CGI update
yeah.
surgery.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so the next one, I will replace Mr. Toad.
I was curious if
Whoa.
I know I'm such a big fan, and but I just like after watching it for our previous one, it just kind of solidified of like, why am I holding on to this? I love this character, how it looks more than I actually care for the character itself.
the attraction is more fun than the movie or
Right.
the short or whatever. Yeah.
So I'm for replacing it, and I want to put a 101 Dalmatian one. It's just something different. You kind of go like chase along with like have Horace and Jasper chasing the dogs, and you have different experiences, different landscapes. It's such a small space. You really can't do too much with the ride experience without having to interfere with, the crown jewel of the Fantasyland, which is Peter Pan. That's like, so I don't want to infringe on that or mess with Alice. So yeah, I figure it's a safe thing. Kids like dogs, and yeah, just something to replace it with. I just think Mr. Toad, he served his time. It's time to let go. But again, I just know for a lot of Disney fans, there's some untouchables, but right here with us, there's nothing.
In my opinion, there are very few untouchable attractions.
I think the carousel is probably for me the untouchable because that is the one that started the whole dream, was
a carousel.
a carousel. So that one should stay. Speaking of, yeah, Dumbo would probably be one of those for me too.
Nope, Dumbo is not untouchable for me.
For me, yeah, that's just me. Just because it's just the experience of an open, like spinning and seeing
Sure.
Fantasyland. But all right, and then my last one. I think this is like the biggest. Like this will take the most work to have done in construction. It is a Rapunzel boat ride.
Okay, good.
And so this will take place on the other half of the Storybook Canal. And it also include the area of the motorboat cruise area, just this boat area that's there.
So are you
It's-
traveling under the walkway there?
Yes.
Okay.
You nailed it, because there is a height
Mhm.
difference there, and you do have parades going over, so
Yes.
you will have to drop under. So there will be a mini kind of drop and tell the story of Rapunzel. I think you can build an enclosure where you can have the lantern scene, and you can have along the way, like, because it takes place in a forest, and like you can have some of the scenes interact there on this boat ride. I think it just would be fun to incorporate another princess story into the Fantasyland, and you could bring the tower over there to that side, to the Matterhorn. It's part of the Brother Grimm fairy tales. Matterhorn's right there. That's Germanic in its own way. So I think it would be kind of a fun incorporation with the story. The whole Storybook Canal, I think it's kind of dated. The Mighty Duck joke can only go so far, 30 years, and the Casey Jr. train, I mean, yeah, I think that's a big area that can just clean house. And yet it won't, like, culture shock the fans of
Oh,
Disney.
I would disagree with you.
Well, in the
on
sense
that
of
one.
just like with
you move a trash can and you're culture shocking
Yeah.
somebody.
You got the teacups there where you had that magical
Honestly,
experience at night.
I feel like there are more fans supporting the Storybook Boat Canal than Mr. Toad, in my opinion.
Interesting.
I think there are more fans of the Storybook Canal than Mr. Toad.
Man, I would have to get their perspective and their story to how it's important to the feeling and the experience of Disneyland and Fantasyland. That's what I'd want to hear from those fans.
I might talk about that in mine.
Awesome. Well,
So-
that kind of sums up what I've done with Fantasyland. Just a couple things. Small World stays there, But yeah, Mine Train's my big one, and the Rapunzel one. Those are the two that I would change. The other ones are kind of filler. Like, if somebody came up with a better idea, be like, yeah, that's cool. I'm fine with that. As long as you fill up with a good story and it's still a kid attraction. Like, I could take my little daughter and she would have like point and have fun. I would be for that.
Okay. Very good. Father Yodeler, let's hear your plans for
a new Fantasyland,
Fantasyland.
an update, to
An update, yes.
Fantasyland at Disneyland. So we'll start and say that I'm gonna attack the carousel first.
Okay.
Since somebody mentioned it as untouchable.
I think it's untouchable, but that's just me.
But I'm going to take that, combine it with Pinocchio, and make a Mary Poppins ride.
Ooh.
For the chalk painting area.
Oh, kind of have like you want it to like go up and go into the building?
I
or?
want it to go. I want to basically cut that path off. Maybe move
you want to cut it?
carousel
So it'll be like almost
over,
like a courtyard, and it'll be like an L towards Mr. Toad's.
so that you're going to go around the carousel, but it's part of the ride system. You're riding the horse through the chalk painting portions, Jolly Holiday, supercalifragilistic portions of Mary Poppins, and maybe the queue line has got more of the house type theming, and the Banks home that you would see, but the central focus is going to be Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins has really been one of the gems of the Disney movie house and has been absent in any significant way. So I think Pinocchio could be removed without too much, and the carousel would still be there, but it would be rethemed under Mary Poppins. So that it's there, but it's not in the traditional sense of a carousel.
So why Pinocchio, maybe not Mr. Toad? Because then you'd have like a London theme. I'm
showing respect to those who want to keep as much of the original.
Because Pinocchio's not an original.
Pinocchio is not original.
I didn't know that.
No, they used to have a movie theater there. I remember going to that movie theater when it was still open.
When pirate ships were still a fantasy.
When pirate ships were there, but my father wouldn't take me there because it's just a restaurant.
It's a tuna restaurant.
Yeah, I'm not going there. So I always wanted to go see the Jolly Roger, but I never got. I saw it from a distance, but I was never there. So that would be the first thing I would do is try to turn those two into a Mary Poppins attraction, and then I'm going to take Dumbo and throw that spinning thing out.
It's gone.
And I'm going to replace it with a Dumbo.
Keeping Dumbo.
I'm keeping Dumbo, but as a roller coaster, flying Dumbo.
Flying Dumbo roller coaster.
Okay.
Where
you can still ride flying Dumbo, but he's going to be roller coaster riding on the tops of Fantasyland, so you still
like
get the view of it.
Kind of like a mini people mover.
People mover type. It's a combination of roller coaster type, people mover. Nothing too intense.
That's
it's
cool.
for children.
I like that.
And it can go around. The Matterhorn type look, and over to Small World, and just fly around and give you an overview of everything. So we have the Astro Orbiter. So if you want the spinning ride, it's the same ride as Dumbo. Not the same view, though. But this would give... Dumbo's going to fly now. He's going to go places and show you Fantasyland. So
that's cool.
That's a fun
cool.
idea.
So I think I won't get too much hate mail, but,
Yeah, it's just how you incorporate it with the castle. Because no one wants, like, a roller coaster running through their, like, castle picture.
The castle picture, yeah.
Okay, and as far as Casey Jr., I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm going to expand it. It is going to go to Toontown, and you're going to have a stop at Toontown. So you're actually going someplace. So you keep the same kind of circle thing going on, but you actually can go to Toontown with it. This will add some motion to, since it got rid of the Jolly Trolley, let's bring Casey Jr. in there. So there's something going into Toontown.
So going to Toontown, does that mean it's going through the theater?
It could be, yes, or around that area or something, because we're going to get to that too.
Yeah.
But we're going to take the storybook land, since it's associated there too, and we're not going to demolish it or cut it in half. We're going to expand it. We're going to expand it on that back end where you go into the Cave of Wonders, but instead of going to the Cave of Wonders, you're going to go into a dark ride on the boat where you're going to get a story, dark ride type story in there that's going to be modular so that it can be changed frequently. So you get any Disney story in there that you're going to be able to ride through, and so the story will vary from time to time. Because sometimes, looking at the little buildings is almost like a queue type approach rather than the actual attraction. So I'm getting rid of a dark ride, but I'm adding a dark ride in Storybook Line, and you're going to get the full story in there and then come back out and go back to port. So and it's going to be modular so that there's they can change it frequently enough to make it come now for this year or this season for this story, and see that, and it'll be something new and different, and exciting to do. It's gonna have to do something
like Star Tours, right?
Yeah.
That's how they originally pitched Star Tours. It's like, it's this attraction we can just reprogram and do as many variants as we want. 30 years later.
Right.
I didn't want to, and that's why I wanted modular. I want the idea that it's going to always be refreshed. It's not going to be something, it'll be something new every time you get a new story. The next time you go to Disneyland, it'll be a different Aladdin or Little Mermaid or Bambi or whatever it might be.
I like that idea.
So it's
modular thing works, and it does fill that need of
so it's kind of like
the same story.
So it's kind of like those windows on Main Street that change and tell a little story, but it's a ride through, and it could be fun and expand things.
It seems realistic.
Yeah, and I'm trying to be fairly realistic, at least on these portions. The Fantasyland Theater, what I'd like to do with that is tear it down, put in a totally enclosed theater that's going to be Anna.
That's nice.
Anna and Elsa's Frozen Ice Show.
Oh yeah, I like the show.
Because we all have been to Disneyland when it's hot and miserable, and you're looking for that air conditioning, and you don't want it for the 5 to 10 minute ride. You want it for
yeah, you're not going all the way down to Mr. Lincoln. You're like, I need a break.
You want that half hour to an hour show. And I figured, why not do Disney Ice? They've got to have performers that love to perform, but they want a Las Vegas to where they don't have to move around all the time. So you can bring your best people there, keep people there that are really spectacular on the ice, and they've got these Disney Ice programs here. You can just do a portion of it there you can develop better backgrounds and so on, so it can be augmented a little bit more because it's not a traveling show. And I think that would be something that people would enjoy, and hopefully you could also include a very nice Arendelle cool restaurant there to where you can also have a nice place to eat.
You really don't have
there.
A restaurant there. I mean, all you have is the Red Rose Tavern.
Right, tavern right there by Pinocchio and so on.
Well, does that make it? Does the carousel destroy that tavern?
Well, it could possibly. It depends on what the Mary Poppins needs were. You could encroach in that and then have that become the Fantasyland restaurant over there by the ice show. So I'm trying to help people with some air conditioning.
That's very thoughtful. That just reminds me of our trip to D23 last time where it was so hot and all we wanted to do was just go to that Frozen show. The stage show was like, this is the best show ever.
It's the best show ever. It was.
Because every time we got outside, you're like, it's 100 degrees. It sucks.
Yeah. So I that's what I do there. It's a small world. Don't think you can really touch it. And
No.
and with the Matterhorn, I don't think you can touch it except for the fact of
Well, you can't bulldoze it down. It's structurally like not going anywhere.
my understanding is that there were some problems discovered with it, so I think they are going to have to bulldoze it down.
You think so?
I think so. And
This is
so
that's new news to me. I thought they like
I
when they
did
did
not hear
renovation-
that. Yeah.
I'm going on the assumption with this new Fantasyland that the Matterhorn has to go, and my understanding is that they have to increase the base to rebuild it to code.
Right.
today.
For code stuff. Oh yeah, no, they have to do all sorts of major things.
Right, and so that's gonna encroach upon the submarine ride and Autopia and so on. So I'm all for that. Let's build a new mountain there instead, and instead of having the Matterhorn, we'll put a part of this mountain. We'll keep a place where there's still yodeling, and they've got a little tribute to it, and so on.
Disney's normally pretty good about leaving a tribute.
Leaving a tribute there. You know, it's kind of like the Swiss family tree
House.
house. You can still hear the music. You can still hear the yodelers there. You can go there because that's the main theming there. But it's not making any money for, not much anyway. I mean, who would ever make money with yodelers? But
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a-
please. Sponsorships, please.
so I would see that a new mountain was built there, and I think I'd like to see it be Mount Olympus and become a
Mount
Hercules
Olympus.
ride.
I didn't consider that.
Jumping
And-
into a chariot, with Apollo or something. I don't know.
And you're going to take it all the way to the top of Olympus and all the way down to Hades, and back out, and, the story of Hercules and so on. There's so many rich characters with Hercules that I think this would be really good. And to add into it there, something that'll never happen, but I thought would always be nice, is also put in that area, about where the boat ride used to be, is put the a dark ride for Fantasia.
Ooh.
I think there's just a lot of difference, so you can take from both of the Fantasia movies and take you through the music, and you can even move the dinosaur diorama over there,
That'd be fun.
Yeah, it
and
would. That
do
sounds great.
Fantasyland, you could do all that. So that's kind of my vision. I mean, you could also tweak the teacups to where the teacups not just spin, but they also go up and down, and maybe even tilt a little bit, so it's a...
Oh, so you really want to make people throw up?
you can do things
I'm
like
gonna
that.
stay on the baby one. I'll stay in the static one that just rotates around. It just goes around in a circle.
I do the anti-teacups where I fight against where it's trying to tell me to turn.
Yep. That's you try to
Teacup
be
experience,
still.
yeah.
You try to be still. I've done that, yes. But
It takes a little bit of effort to do that too,
Get to fight the system.
because it changes. So you have to change direction occasionally.
Anyway, I thought the pastoral scenes in Fantasia would fit in with Hercules
That would
and
be
things
really
like that.
good.
You can have a Mickey Mouse sorcerer meet and greet in the area. There's a lot of things you can do with that. So that was my kind of idea of how to plus Fantasyland without totally destroying it. Although the Dumbo thing is
That's a pretty.
That's a dramatic change.
it's a dramatic change, but
And you
I
you
think
got rid of the Matterhorn. That one's a big iconic,
it is. But I think you can still get away. I also figure it'd be great at night when you have turn it into Mount Baldy and have
Chernobog?
come out of the
man,
top
that
of
would be
it,
awesome.
during
my
the fireworks. Can you imagine
goodness.
that?
That would be
is-
really. That's a game changer right there.
So, I think they would hesitate at it, but I think the ride would be so good that as long as you had the little tribute, you can still listen to the yodelers sing, maybe have a little restaurant there or something or snack spot that still is a tribute to the Matterhorn. I think people would accept it, but rather than try to rebuild it when you've got to expand it and so on, I thought, let's just make it a new mountain, and we'll make it Mount Olympus and tell the story of Hercules, which I know you
Hercules
guys
is
love
number one
Hercules.
animated film for me. So yeah, Hercules number 1.
Yep. So that's my take on New Fantasyland. Without getting too
I can
crazy.
hear the muses in my ears. I'm going around Olympus. That would be kind of...
Yeah. So it was fun hearing both of your guys' view of Fantasyland, and mine's literally a combination of both of yours. Literally, I was all like, "That's mine. That's mine. That's mine." So
Well, we'll be
Yeah.
We didn't collaborate, so
We
it'll
did
be
not.
interesting
It'll
to
be-
see what inspiration was flowing.
I do
from
have
the
different. I
music.
do have different things.
Okay.
So, and you guys.
But you can let us know what the same things are.
Oh
too.
yeah, you'll hear them, because I don't have much else to talk about if I don't talk about those things.
What color the garbage can is going to be? That's I'm changing the garbage cans.
So when this was kind of difficult for me to try to come up with, like, which attractions do I get rid of? Which ones do I keep? And so I said, to be fair, I'm just going to get rid of, I would say, 90% of Fantasyland. I didn't mess.
Boo.
I know,
sorry.
I know.
You say New Fantasyland, no joke. It's not like
It's new. This is new Fantasyland. Small World. I didn't touch Small World. Small World's in its own world. Yeah, it's its own thing. It's fine where it's at. Like, it doesn't really encroach on the thematics
You're
of the
always
whole
like, where
area.
does it belong again? Oh, I guess it's Fantasyland.
Right.
It's like Matterhorn. You're like,
World peace. That's a fantasy, right?
it's in Tomorrowland for a reason, because maybe someday somebody else fix it.
No. So let's talk about Peter Pan here for a second.
Yeah, what do you do with Peter
we
Pan?
talked about in a prior episode about iconic moments in these attractions, and what did we say the iconic moment for Peter Pan was?
This is flying over London.
Flying over London, right? What other movie do we have flying over scenic destinations?
You have Mary Poppins to
Yeah.
too.
How about Aladdin?
Oh,
We have
okay.
a magic carpet ride that we just fly around to over
Around and
different
around, like
around and around and around.
This
Yeah. But like,
no.
yeah, no.
I got you there though. Round and around.
Well,
round
why
trip
not?
to Agrabah.
Why not? Get rid of dumb, but we can put that in there. Sure, why not? But yeah, so like, you're flying to different destinations. You're on a magic carpet that fits more than just 2 people on a vehicle. You can fit 4 or 6 or however big you want to make the vehicle, and the carpet, and you just fly through the different destinations all over the world, and like playing that whole new world music, and it'll be that cool, relaxing, like
Flying over Agrabah.
flying
Big
over.
Screen.
No, this is not Chapek's Fantasyland for
Okay.
sure. This is not that.
I don't know this like Fantasyland. Did he like come up with?
Oh well, he's very. A lot of his green lights have been all like screen-based attractions,
Oh.
and like,
Okay.
look, ride this ride and watch a TV screen. All right, now move over here and watch this TV screen. So that's a lot of the attractions we've been getting lately. Is a lot of these
Screens.
screens.
Okay.
So this is not that. None of my attractions I would consider to be screen-based attractions. So that was my idea for the Peter Pan area. So I decided to get rid of Snow White and Pinocchio to make a Beauty and the Beast attraction. I feel that they deserve one that's stateside. Tokyo has one. I don't necessarily want to copy theirs. I'm not necessarily a fan of their version of their version of a Beauty and the Beast attraction. That's not really what I would want for a Beauty and the Beast attraction. I would still like a traditional dark ride, but Beauty and the Beast is such a great story that I think you would need both of those attractions to properly
Right.
go
It's
through
not a
there.
lot of space there. So it's
Right.
Like I said when I was like Thornstone's like or Dalmatia's like you only have so much space and you gotta
Correct.
tell a story quickly because Pinocchio is not a great story as you're going through it because you're just like oh we're here, here's this scene, oh we're here, okay now we're done.
Exactly. And so to do that movie justice, you give it both those show buildings, and you get to experience the full Beauty and the Beast story with the proper animatronics that they do have in Tokyo. That I did like.
Yeah.
The ride, not so
You
much.
don't want the cardboard cutouts that are like swiveling.
No. And that also goes with the Red Rose Tavern. So, we have the Beauty and the Beast restaurant right next door. So that fits thematically.
I was wondering too if that was going to happen.
I mean, obviously, space. If they need more space, they can take the restaurant. But
there's enough space over there.
in my opinion, if you've got those two show buildings, that's enough for a decent ride. Carousel, what we're going to do is we're going to move it to where Dumbo is and double deck it.
Double
decker carousel.
Boy, top level will be kind of fun to do.
Right. You get that overview of all of Fantasyland. It's not up in front, so it opens up a lot of traffic so that it's not so bottleneck when you're going in between the attractions. There's a lot of open space now in Fantasyland if you push that back where Dumbo is. So Dumbo's gone.
So what do you have in the courtyard there with, like?
You can do a variety of things. You can do like a garden. You can do seating areas, or you have, I mean, we've got these attractions potentially extended queues.
You want to put like Malibu in there?
Maliboomer, yeah. Yeah, no. That'll be interesting for your castle pictures to have that shooting off behind the castle. Yeah, so you just open that up. You kind of have like a little mini garden area, kind of like a relaxing area, because Fantasyland has always been this like congested like monster during the day.
Space.
So it'd be nice just to have that like breathing room, which Disneyland does not have necessarily a lot of. It's very compact, and so just to have some open breathing room wouldn't hurt anyone, in my opinion. Now we get to Mr. Toad. This was the attraction that made me decide I have to get rid of everything. Here, I'm getting rid of Mr. Toad as well as Alice to make one attraction, and this was going to be our 101 Dalmatian attraction.
You're doing that? That's crazy.
That was the idea.
When you're looking at my notes, we're like,
no, that was the idea me and my wife we came up with, and we were talking about it. And says, yeah, like everyone loves the villain, so like this attraction is going to be kind of from a villain's perspective of like looking for the puppies.
So you're hunting.
And so each scene there's like hidden puppies all over the place. Of course, there's going to be 99 puppies hidden throughout the entire attraction, so it kind of invites that rewritability to like, oh, did you find all of the puppies?
And you can move them around.
And you can ask, and there's room for one more.
So like,
you can even make it interactive with your phone of like you take a picture of it or something. Well, you don't like people with phones.
Yeah.
Never mind. Scratch that. You guys stink with phones and rides.
Yeah, it doesn't quite work out that way. But yeah, like you're going around, you're going through the DeVille Castle. I mean, that could be the facade of the attraction is the DeVille Castle or mansion, and then you got when you get over, because I believe the Alice and the Haunted and the Mr. Toad, they overlap each other at one point.
I'll do that.
I believe the part where you're going up in Alice, when you're going upstairs in the flower room, that's like right above Hell.
Okay.
In Mr. Toad. And so they say like you can feel the heat in that portion of the ride because of that scene. So like it's all interconnected in that way.
You can feel it in
Alice.
In Alice, okay.
And so when you get over to there, like you got an outside portion, so you can have like instead of like a hell room, we have like a cold room. You're outside, it's snowy. Like be like cold,
which we would all like.
Right. A nice cold, dark ride.
I've never been on Mr. Toad and going, oh, it's been so cold out in sunny California, where I'm like, oh, thank goodness for this ride. I'm warming up.
Right. So like just to have a nice cool ride in the middle of the day, I think would really work. And obviously, Puppy Cell. You know, there's your
Right.
Bob Chapek. You know, like people will buy
Is there going to be
puppy
a
merchandise.
pet store instead of a Mad Hatter store? We're going to have sell dogs.
Plushies.
Okay.
Customize your Dalmatian dots. You know, make the Dalmatian that you want.
I think I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Incorporate
So,
the merchandise with it.
So yeah, so like that was kind of my idea with there. I didn't really have any ideas for teacups. I'm okay with teacups being there.
I
so-
love the lights on the
The light-
teacups.
it's-
it's really well designed.
It's
It
just-
really
It's
is.
aesthetically pleasing, even though I'm not a fan of the attraction. It works.
It just looks so nice. Like you walk there at night and there's just
It
like
is.
as you're coming in from like Tomorrowland, or it just like invites you like, oh, we're in Fantasyland. Like it
Right.
just lights up because canals are shut down or it's dark, but that like lets you know like we're in Fantasyland now.
Right.
Mhm.
So next, Matterhorn. Okay, we're gonna do. I didn't know this stuff about what you were saying about how you think they're gonna tear it down. I didn't know about that.
I don't know that they are. I just know that they ran into some more issues there than they figured when they.
When they
went-
had issues.
With the
Yes.
structural and
Yes.
you know the concrete and the. I mean, yeah, it's gonna
It's
happen
old.
when the world moves. Plates are moving there, and it's a 60-year-old
So-
like mountain.
Yep.
So I just kind of did a reskin, and we're doing a Frozen. So we're putting Elsa's castle on there. We're gonna put, is it Snowball? Is that his name?
Marshmallow.
Marshmallow. We're gonna put Marshmallow instead of
Don't
Harold.
come back.
So like your journey will go up the mountain with like Kristoff and Elsa and Olaf. Like we gotta go talk to Elsa, and then you get up there and Elsa, you know, says let it go, and then you go down the mountain, and then Marshmallow's scaring you down the mountain.
Oh, that'd
So-
be fun.
Yeah,
Throwing some wolves chasing you too. Why not?
yeah. Some why not? Why not some wolves? So that was kind of my idea for the Matterhorn. Then we get into probably the big part of the most destruction, and this is where I as well destroy the Casey Jr.'s train ride, as well as the Storybook Canal and the theater. And we're going to build a big dark ride omni mover attraction for Encanto. So the facade will be the house. And so you'll get in and you'll journey to each of the rooms of the house and get their character interactions. You'll get their music. There's certain songs that they play. Like
And then when they get to Bruno's, the rats go on. They like have little rats that come on.
you can have some special effects where the vehicle kind of like Honey Has Shrunk the Audience, like little hoses, like oh yeah. Why not? So yeah, like it'd be fun. You're going through the house, you go, behind the walls where Bruno is and all that stuff. So like you get a nice, great, because I think Omni Movers and boat rides are some of the most effective people eating attractions, and you need a really good people eater, and I think a nice Omni Mover to the theme
They
to
don't have
Encanto.
one there. in
They don't.
Fantasyland.
No, they don't.
And so, like, I think that would be an excellent people eater, better than Storybook Land, Canal, and Casey Jr. provide. Those lines, when you're stuck in them, they're not the funnest lines to be stuck in.
Could you put the Encanto one in Frontierland? Get rid of the restaurant that's there next to Frontierland.
I mean, you could.
I was just on like theming and stuff like. I love the idea.
Right.
I think it's a great idea for it there. I'm just like, could you see it in Frontierland?
Yeah, I mean, it could go there. I'm also a really big fan of that restaurant, so I'm partial not
You
to
don't
get
like
rid
that
of
one,
that.
I
I'm
like
like,
it.
I don't like that. I like the restaurant. The restaurant's good. I eat there often. El Zocalo.
No, I think it's a great idea to do the Omni Mover. The room, there's enough material for the rooms, like going from room to room there, and it's fun in that. There's magic in that house.
Yeah, and I think that works well with the whole Fantasyland element. It's a very magical house where magical things are happening all around you. And I think that would be kind of an exciting and relaxing attraction to experience. And yeah, it would need to be sizable, so it would need to take up all that space. Now, the last part, obviously, this is not going to be the exciting, you know, the part where they're putting on all the commercials, but I think is important to add, because I feel the storybook canal, the little dioramas are important. I kind of came to this realization when I went to Legoland, and they have all those diorama. They have like these like mini city, and they got the Lego Star Wars Lego displays and things like that, and it's like the coolest thing. And if you actually like ride the Storybook Land Canal and you see the detail that they went in,
Marvelous.
it's beautiful. Like these are pieces of art, and like I wish I would have more time to look at some of them than you really get when you're riding the boat. You're like, I want to look at the Pinocchio's village, more, but that's like literally like 2 seconds into the attraction, and you're like, oh, and there it went. Okay.
But it could be appreciated in the castle.
No, well, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna move it, and we're gonna have a walk around attraction.
Ooh. How European.
Yes, I feel like Disneyland doesn't have enough of those, and I think you could put that area across where they have the, now they kind of have the character meet and greets, kind of in between Small World and Matterhorn.
So that boat.
So that
boat cruise area.
not necessarily the boat cruise area, but like the character meet and greet where it's kind of elevated up, and that area you can turn those into like dioramas of scenic views in Disney movies, like, and obviously you can update things when needed. But like it gives people the chance to like really like take a look at like the artistry of these things in more detail than you can get just by cruising by it on the boat.
That's a good point.
And because like that was kind of like a big deal for Walt Disney himself. He actually wanted to do something like that. He wanted a land for just miniatures. So that also goes back to an idea Walt had. So that's kind of the Fantasyland I've kind of envisioned. I don't know.
So Dumbo's completely gone.
Dumbo's gone.
Oh, wow.
I got rid of Dumbo.
Oh, wow.
I think Dumbo is one of those overrated attractions.
Oh, my. I don't. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
He's got the elevated with the carousel.
That's
the double decker gets you that experience, but it's kind of like,
I think it gets you better experience.
Looking around.
That's a scary one. I was nervous enough with my Dumbo change, but I thought, hey, you still get the Dumbo experience. No. It's just a different
it's the commercial
experience.
Ride. They show that.
It is the commercial ride, but I think the teacup. I had to keep one commercial ride, and that was the teacups.
Okay.
I felt the teacups represents Disneyland more than Dumbo does.
Wow. Okay.
I love it.
If you have any opinions,
yes, I want to hear your opinions. Let us know why we're horribly wrong and how we should never touch anything and that it's perfect in every way.
How sacrilegious we've done with this.
We've desecrated it.
The beautiful memory. Of
Any updates to the castle? Did you guys ever?
No.
I considered a modular, but I decided ultimately no.
Okay.
So update to where it's like the actual castle instead of just a small one.
Do you change a paint color?
Oh, there can always be tints changes, but I think they've done pretty well recently with it.
Okay.
So you would keep the size of the castle? Are you fine with it?
Yeah, again, because this is the original.
This is the original. It's kind of hard.
It's kind of I mean, at one point I considered, all right, we're going to move Old Fantasyland over to a museum status. Whoa. Where it gets totally moved to Texas or something, and that's where you want to see that.
Like Texas is the museum of like old Disney rides that you want to go to, like,
and everything goes there, and then you go all new, with the California one. That was one consideration, and I said no. Nah, we're gonna go more realistic here. Or what would they do? What kind of changes can we put in there that I could actually see happen?
See that? I never thought of like a museum status. Well, let's just.
I mean,
that's what Disneyland is now.
That's something a lot of people have thrown out there for like a fifth park at Disney World, is having like an extinct park with all these old like attractions that people love and miss, but they're gone now, and to bring them back there. That's always been an idea that's been floated around on the fan community. So
Boy, you probably imagine trying to bring up half of Epcot.
that's honestly what would happen. Universe of Energy, Horizons, Journey into Imagination. Yeah, that all, World of Motion. Yeah, that would all end up there for sure.
That's a great movie ride.
Great movie ride. Yep, great movie ride would be in
It
there.
would be kind of fun if they intermingled all the rides together at the same time. Where you're like, I don't know what's going on. It's like a Wonka vision.
That would be interesting. Have like an Omnimover attraction that went through like all of like the classic moments of all of these classic attractions. That would be kind of fun.
Or you can make it a multiverse where it's all like, instead of a ball, you're going through a giant triangle.
A triangle, yeah. Cube.
Or a cube.
My other thought was on a new Fantasyland is literally a new place for a new Fantasyland, and I chose the Vancouver Victoria Island so that it would be a stop like the island in the Bahamas where the boats go when they're going to the Disney cruises are going when they're going to Alaska, and make that, you know, kind of Arendelle themed with
that would be
with a Christmas land in there with a Muppets Christmas Carol dark ride, and you know, I had things like that going through my mind. But then when I talked to you, and it sounded like, oh, we're just changing Disneyland. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll come down to it.
Bring it down. That's a fun idea.
That is
That
fun.
would really jumpstart their cruise system.
Right,
of
you know,
like,
that-
you get here through the cruise, or you pay a lot to take our express trip from like Seattle or Vancouver.
Right.
Oh, that's fun. Boy, there's some great ideas.
Yeah, this was a fun idea. This was fun. Let us know what you think. Persecute us on all our social medias: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Email us at matterhornyotos@gmail.com.
Hopefully we can put up a survey to see whose new Fantasyland do you vote for.
Yeah.
Or there could also be the option, I'm going to keep the old one.
Yeah, we'll put that survey. I'll make sure that the survey shows up on our Anchor page, so you can check that out there.
Or we can put like a survey of like, what ride are you okay going away at Fantasyland?
Yeah.
Because we touched about untouchables, and like we
I
obviously
think-
have untouchable views.
Well, yeah, I think that might be a discussion for another day where we talk about untouchable attractions.
Oh boy, that's a battle.
That is a battle.
Okay.
So, yep. Thank you for listening. Until next time, Auf Wiedersehen.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the Matterhorn Yodelers. Please remember, before your bobsled comes to a complete stop, to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And remember,
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.